I'm going to start things off in the best way possible, which is by passing things over to Shawn Michaels. Shawn.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Joel. Appreciate it. Yeah, just want to say, obviously, hello, everybody. As always, thank you all for doing this. I hope they're getting better and hope they're a bit, informational as we continue to do these and go forward. Clearly, we're excited about this weekend, big Memorial Day weekend for the WWE with Night of Champions on Saturday, and obviously Battleground on Sunday for us. Obviously, I'm more focused and more excited about the Battleground going back to Lowell and our current NXT champions close to his hometown. So excited to get back to the Boston area. We're excited about Battleground and this show, and hope everybody else is equally as excited as we are. So look, plain and simple, I guess we'll get to the questions. And once again, thank you all for being a part of this.
Thanks, Shawn. I will ask, if you do have a question, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. We will get to as many as we can. But with that, we will start things off by going to Steve Fall. Steve, please go ahead. Steve, you are on mute, but please.
I'm not hearing you.
Hey, Shawn. So big, huge event, Battleground. Now, Lowell, that's where you lost your smile. I was there as a child. It was a very sad day, but it's going to be a great day for Battleground because Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker is like a main event of a lifetime. But if Braun loses, do you see him going to Raw or SmackDown after? Because I know NXT took a big hit during the draft.
Yeah, we did. And I'll say, look, it's funny because a big hit is a positive thing. You know what I mean? Obviously, it makes us, have to create more superstars, which is our job. And we're always excited about that. I'm really proud of everybody and what happened in the draft. And to your point, to answer your question, look, I think he's close no matter what. My feeling is, I think we still have him for a while, given the draft just happened. Now, again, as everybody knows, anything can happen in the WWE. But look, I feel like there's still some really good matchups here for him in NXT that I'd like to see. And clearly, when it comes to call-ups or and going to the main roster, yes, I have. I don't have any say in that. Obviously, I have recommendations and things for that nature, but I do know that I would agree with. I think the majority of people that Braun is certainly ready in that respect. It's just a matter of when they want to pull the trigger. But I personally want to say that again, there are still some really good matchups here in NXT that I selfishly would love to see him in before he goes.
Thanks for that. We'll come next to
I guess if you ask him, he's determined on winning the championship. So, he just wants to. He's just getting a kick out of upsetting everybody. It's kind of fun to watch, to be perfectly honest.
Hi, Shawn. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So we've had a lot of former NXT UK talent make their way over to the USA side for NXT. On the women's side, I believe there's 2 women who haven't made the official move yet to the NXT US side, that being Aaliyah James and Blair Davenport. So I was wondering if you had any updates on their statuses or if there's any plans to officially welcome to the US-based NXT soon.
Well, look, I do know that there's interest, obviously, there, especially from the standpoint of Blair Davenport. But those are obviously decisions, that she has to make when it comes to wanting to be here. I will say that my feeling is that she would, if she does make that decision, she'd want to come make a big impact, and we would obviously be in favor of that as well. But certainly, she's someone that we've reached out to, and whether she makes the determination that she wants to be a part of NXT, you know what I mean? Hopefully, we'll have something on that in the very near future.
We'll come next to Mike Johnson.
Hey, Shawn, how are you?
I'm doing well.
So, with this edition of the NXT Milestone Show pay-per-view, whatever we call it, we've got a lot of new faces that have been put into positions of prominence since the draft and since WrestleMania weekend. How do you think everyone's been doing? What's your grade on Wesley and Carmelo and Gallus as they've been put in positions of prominence for the company, and they're going to be the ones leading this brand going forward, including this weekend?
Sure. Look, I'll say, I obviously, and as I always freely admit, I'm clearly biased, but I certainly think they've done a good job. I will say that Wesley, I think, has been, for me, I think the biggest standout, and that's want to make sure that I, say that in a way that, because I guess given where he's come from, and he had, he came in obviously as a tag team. And then when that fell apart, I don't know. I think everyone was very curious to see how he would be able to sustain himself. And I think he has just gone over and above what I think anybody expected. Clearly, living up to his potential easily because he's a talented young man. But I think he's just done such a fantastic job. And I say that because, again, from Carmelo Hayes, I think everybody saw, the minute, he stepped through, an NXT door. I certainly saw it from the very beginning. Gallus are guys that had success in the UK, and they're veterans. So I think that their rise is not overly surprising. But for me, again, Wesley, who had such so many obstacles to overcome. I think I'm most proud of Wes and what he's done with that North American Championship. Obviously coming up on a record-breaking reign too, which I think is so surprising. It's always amazing to me, again, when we're, this many years, going in this business as a whole, that guys at such a young age are making records and stuff like that. Even, again, it goes all the way to a guy like Roman. It's just amazing to me. Some of the reigns that have been going on here in the WWE for such a long time. And now Wes is obviously on the cusp of being, the longest reigning North American champion ever. And I'm very proud of his success. And I think all three of those guys, from Carmelo to Gallus to Wes, are looking forward to this weekend. And I would imagine from their standpoint, they want to make sure they keep their prominence continuing into the future.
All right. Thank you, sir.
We'll come next to Alistair McGeorge at Metro.
I was going to say you betcha, but everybody makes fun of me for saying you betcha. And I say thank you. You say thank you. So
Hey, Shawn, how
anyway,
are you
I'm
doing?
just babbling, guys. As always, sorry about that. Go ahead.
I wanted to bring up Rick Fowler and Jagger Reed because they've been kind of open on social media about requesting the release, which wasn't granted, but it's been clear over the last few weeks they've still got a big role to play kind of under your management. So what's your sort of approach there? And are you hoping, in the end, they will end up staying?
Yeah, obviously I do. And look, they were guys that clearly that, I wanted to come over and bring over from the UK. I think they're very talented. But as again, I absolutely understand. It's one of the things that I tell everybody here, again, yes. Do I want it to be here in the WWE for you to have your success? Absolutely. I can't lie about that. But really, this is about, wanting to help all of, no matter who comes through these doors, help them to have success in this business as a whole. I always tell everybody I feel so fortunate for the life that I have and my family and I have. And it's because of this job. And now there's a real opportunity for everyone that, is in this line of work to have that. And so I want that for them. So look, I understand absolutely the way that they feel. But as I mentioned to them, while you're here, man, I still want to put you in a prominent role. Again, we're not going to, there's no hard feelings in that respect. There's too much talent there to waste or to leave on the table. And so certainly if they don't mind working, I sure as heck don't mind using them.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You bet.
We'll come next to Nims at SCN Radio.
Hey, Shawn, how's it going? Greetings from Australia.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to ask you about the final for the NXT Women's Championship. I mean, Tiffany Stratton and Lyra Valkyria, they'll go head to head for the vacant belt. But I wanted to take a step back and ask about Indy Hartwell, who's now on the Raw roster. Now, I'm very biased because she's from Melbourne and I'm from Melbourne. But if she didn't have to vacate the title due to her injury, were there any plans to have her at Battleground?
Absolutely. And so look, one of the things that it can be very chaotic and it can be very difficult. But one of the things I really enjoy about being here in NXT is getting thrown all the curveballs. And again, sometimes absolutely it can get frustrating, but if you look at it as excitement, which I always try to do, that's the part of this job. Adjusting and changing on the fly is one of the things that I really enjoy about this, because it keeps it exciting all the time. And Indy was definitely one of those situations. Look, I think there was always, you sort of always temper your, expectations with the idea of a call-up. But I always look at it as, again, it's like graduation. It's something that you want to happen, because that it's the best thing for that individual. But we were really excited about her being such an underdog and then becoming the NXT champion. I think that was such a surprise. I don't think anybody saw that coming, and I think more than anything, I'm happy that we were able to capture that moment. What certainly would have been nice to allow her or have her give her the opportunity to have a long reign. Certainly it would have been. But the bad news is she gets called up. You know what I mean? So it's not really bad news. It's certainly not for her. When everything's said and done, that is the point of NXT. You can look at the main roster now. Look, we're close to 100%. We're probably 95% are all former NXT standouts. And that's obviously a sign that this system is working. NXT is a success in spite of what anyone, may feel. It's very obvious now. So look, when our idea of bad news down here is a call up, I'll take that kind of bad news all day long. And I'm sure the talent will as well.
Appreciate it, Shawn. Thank you. Have a great show this weekend.
You bet. Thank you very much.
We'll come next to Nick Houseman.
You hear me?
There you are.
Okay. Hey, hi. Thanks for taking the time today, Shawn.
You bet. Thank you. I thank you guys for taking the time.
So NXT and AEW used to go head to head on Wednesday nights, but obviously you guys are going to be head to head this Sunday night. I was just curious if this was a coincidence or if you all plan on continuing to run NXT shows head to head against AEW shows intentionally going forward.
Not to the best of my knowledge, no. Look, for me and for us, I think WWE as a whole, again, as I'm always honest with you guys, clearly there are people far more important than me that make decisions all the time that they don't tell me about. But no, for us, this was about a big Memorial Day weekend for WWE, obviously. And even though it's a little bit switched around, for us, it's a little bit of a throwback to when, obviously, we used to have joint weekends, you know what I mean, with NXT on Saturday and Raw and SmackDown, pay-per-views on Sunday. This is just sort of flip-flopped with, Jeddah happened on Saturday, Night of Champions. Again, especially coming in the afternoon, everybody just felt that it was a good combination to have NXT on Sunday night and just create a big WWE weekend for WWE fans. I will say this. For me personally, look, I would love to, be able to have as many standalone weekends on us as we can get. You know what I mean? It's always better. No different than having to go up against the playoffs. For the last, several weeks. I would, as much as I'm a basketball fan or an NHL fan, it thrills me when the playoffs are done. So the less competition we can get, the better.
Okay, cool. Hey, thank you so much, Shawn. Best of luck this weekend.
My pleasure. Thank you, Nick.
Let's come next to Noreen Flanders. Noreen, please go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Joel. Hi, Shawn. Thanks for your time. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, perfect. Can we please have an update on the status of NXT Europe, Shawn? And has WWE's acquisition by Endeavor kind of slowed the timescales on that?
So as best I can only say what I've sort of said before is that, I'm certainly ready to go. But yeah, I would imagine right now, I have really nothing to add as much as I wish that I could. I think it's probably, very prudent from a company standpoint for us to wait, let everything shake out. Obviously, everyone here, is excited about everything that's going on within the company. But I don't, certainly I haven't asked about anything in that respect. Again, I'm always pretty good about knowing my role, so to speak, and obviously focusing on NXT. And obviously the thing is, I have a show on Sunday, and then I know I have a show on Tuesday. So I will be honest, my focus are always on the daily and weekly schedules at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet.
Let's come next to Martin Hoffman. Martin?
Hello, Shawn. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great. Hello from Munich. I wanted to ask you about Ilya Dragunov. Also has a match this weekend. He has been brought up in Germany. He's someone we are looking at following closely. I mean, Ilya Dragunov has been friends and colleagues with the Imperium guys who have great success at SmackDown, now at Raw. Ilya Dragunov is still in NXT. I guess when you look at a wrestling standpoint, he's totally ready for main roster. I would think nobody would doubt that. Can you give us some insight in the reasoning what you're still looking for him to make him even more main roster ready and maybe other aspects?
Well, again, I don't know that I would disagree with you as far as being ready. But technically he has not been here that long. Obviously, we just had him. But I will say again, for me, as I feel like there are numerous people that are ready, but those aren't my decisions. I think that it has to be, the right situation. We just know that we're excited about having Ilya. And yes, to your point, he's unbelievably talented. He's just so unbelievably unique. There are literally, maybe not thousands, but numerous, a multitude of aspects that we can utilize Ilya Dragunov down here in NXT. This weekend, I think everybody, and they wouldn't be surprised, is going to be thrilled with what they get out of Dijak and Ilya Dragunov in the last man standing match. It's going to be unbelievable, as he always puts on a show. But I think with the intensity of this rivalry right now, and it being a last man standing match, there's probably an argument that might be the one that's going to be very tough to outdo. And so for me, we're focused on and so excited about what Ilya brings to the table for us. And even though I would agree with you that at any point he could be gone, there are still a number of matchups, because he hasn't been here that long, that we would love to obviously get to before he were to leave. Because again, Ilya, I think everybody knows he's a very, very special and unique individual, again, in more ways than one. So selfishly, I would love to have him here for a little while. Again, matches against Carmelo Hayes, Wesley, Braun Breaker. There are numerous matchups that Ilya still hasn't had here that we'd love to have the opportunity to get to. But clearly very excited about this weekend at Battleground in the last man standing match between him and Dijak. It's going to be unbelievable.
Thank you.
So,
have a great show.
Thank you very much.
We'll come next to Rick at SB Nation.
I'm not hearing anybody.
Right, Rick, we'll come back to you.
Hang on. Sorry, check.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, Rick, go ahead.
Got it in the buzzer. Thank you, Shawn. Appreciate you taking some time to do this. One of the matches I am looking forward to the most is that match between Dijak and Ilya Dragunov. I wanted to ask you about Dijak, actually. He is somebody who has been through the NXT system before.
went to the main roster. History there is what it is, but you get him back in the fall. You know, when you get an NXT superstar back from the main roster, in this particular case, Dijak, you know, what are the goals and expectations for that talent returning to Tuesday, and how would you assess what you've seen from Dijak these past few months?
Well, so look, so obviously, yeah, we when we get them, obviously we try to find what is the best way to help them get back. And honestly, we sit down and with Dijak, and again, it's something that we're very good about. What is it that you might be interested in? Everything that happens down here, the talent 9 times out of 10 really has a say in it, and especially with someone like Dijak. He's got a lot of experience. He understands what he wants to do. He's actually, if I recall, he's a criminal justice major, and so again, it was just kind of ironic, and so it's just what if you were to be able to have a little say in what it is you were going to do? How would you present yourself? How would you see yourself? And look, this is what it resulted in is the character that you have now. And again, I think he has been thriving. I don't think anybody would doubt his ability, because he's an unbelievably talented dude, especially. And I always hate to say especially for his size, but it's hard not to, to say that. It's just amazing some of the stuff he can do at his size. But again, we've also, I think, put him in really good situations, and he has thrived in every one of them. I don't think anybody would argue that he and Wesley was just a fantastic match at Stand and Deliver. And now in a totally different element, a totally different kind of opponent, he's going to go out there with Ilya Dragunov. And again, I think he has every opportunity, again, to show anyone, and that would be, main roster eyes included, that you can put him with anybody and he's going to be a guy that can deliver. And that's what we do. We try to get people back. We do our best to sort of repackage them in a way that maybe they didn't have as much say or influence in before. We try to be open to that. Obviously, not everything can be done the way talent wants it to be done. But at the same time, do our best to put them in opportunities that are going to help them thrive, especially when there is, again, so much talent there. And I don't think I am never, quite honestly, I'm never in that much of a disagreement with, I think, you the fan base, and even the talent. Sometimes they don't feel like they were given the best opportunity. And a lot of times, look, it's a great opportunity at the moment, but if it isn't done correctly or one thing can miss, and it's very tough to dig yourself out of that hole sometimes. You know what I mean? And we're always sympathetic to that. And look, it's a chance to go back and try to rebuild and give them another shot. And I'm pretty proud of some of the results that we've had here in NXT, whether it's Finn Balor, whether it's Apollo, and of course I don't think it's going to be long before Dijak is back as well. So, but I think along with you, everybody knows that he and Ilya is going to be, what I mean. That is going. I don't even know that it's a sleeper, but it is one that is going to, again, be very, very intense, to say the least.
We'll come next to Matthew Aguilar at comicbook.com.
Hi, Shawn. Thanks so much for the time.
Yes, sir.
With the NXT women's tag team titles on SmackDown at the moment, there's currently only one women's division title in NXT, which will be obviously decided at Battleground. Has there been any thought or discussions regarding adding a second women's title to the brand?
So look, every now and then, those thoughts drift into your head. But I'll say this: I think that, as proud as I am of our women's division, I would argue there isn't anybody there. I don't know. Certainly, in my opinion, there isn't anybody that highlights their women as well as we do here in NXT. Having said that, I just don't know what another title would be, and I'm not sure what you really accomplish in that respect. So I think the fact that we highlight our women and have them in so many different storylines and have them unbelievably distributed throughout the roster, I think is a huge success, and something that we do very well. I guess to answer your question, I play with it. I go back and forth with it every now and then. But again, when everything is said and done, there's the television show on Tuesday that we have to put on, but it's about developing talent down here, and we have a lot of very, very young individuals, especially on our women's side now. With the draft and everything else, we lost a lot of what we would consider our veterans, and a lot of leaders. And right now we have a very, very young women's locker room. And so I think right now, and I would argue at one time, the women's championship was obviously the only title that was ever there from the women's standpoint. But as much as I would love to do something like that, I would really want to have it thoroughly vetted out. And I hope I'm not giving you a runaround BS answer. It is something I think about, on a daily basis. I don't know that I'm comfortable with what that is yet, or I've made that determination. And again, I also know that with having such young talent, are there going to be people that are prepared to carry on that role? So again, I guess that's my answer for you. I think about it a lot, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger on something like that. I'm just very proud of what it is that we do here with our women in NXT, because I think they're once again the strongest women's division, in all the country.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
We'll come next to Theo at the Inner Sanctum. Theo? Theo, have we got you?
Greetings, how are you?
Oh, there we go. Hello.
We'll just give Theo one more go. Theo, please go ahead.
Greetings from Australia, Shawn. How are you?
There you are. Doing well, thank you.
That's all good. I wanted to ask you about the Australian talent that got caught up in the draft, Grace and Indy, Zion, Quinn as well. How far can they go on the main roster? Grayson being very close to capturing the NXT title. Indy obviously won the women's title, had to relinquish it, unfortunately. How far do you think those talent can go on the main roster?
Look, I think they can have great success, and I think given the opportunity, which clearly they're getting, I think there's huge opportunities there. I think there's the possibility of a great deal of success. I will say this: for me personally, I would lean more towards Grayson Waller. I just think he's I like him a lot, and I just think he's so talented. He's a pro. There isn't anything really that he can't do, anything that he can't adjust to. He's just an unbelievably, and again, he's probably going to be really mad at me for saying this and giving him so many compliments, because he doesn't, he and I have had our differences and we don't like each other very much. But he's mature, he's smart, he's bright. There isn't anything he can't adjust to. He's a professional. He's everything you want in a WWE superstar. He really is. And so that's the reason, I lean more towards him, I think, than anybody. But again, there's just, with Zion and Indy, there's a great deal of talent there. Again, numerous different looks, I think that are unique and special. So I will say, again, just not just because it's you. Again, we've had some really good Australian talent come through here in the last several years. So we're very proud of what they've accomplished, especially with all of them going up in one batch.
We'll come next to Emily May at Sportskeeda. Emily, I think we might have an issue with your line, so let's come back to you in a moment. We'll go instead to Steph Franchom in France.
Hey,
Steph, please go ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. Greetings from France. Shawn, thank you very much. I couldn't wish for a better comeback for me in the interview land than with you. So I'm super excited. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about Braun Breaker. Do you think that this new character direction for him is the next step in his growth as a WWE superstar?
Absolutely. I do. I think it's something that he's taking to very well. And look, that's when it comes to, and I understand that people see how talented he is. And everyone speaks of the call up and being ready. So every now and then you have somebody that you know that is very good, very special. And I just want to sort of get them all wrapped up perfectly neat in a bow and have the opportunity to present them to the main roster. And I have to be honest, this was something that I really wanted to have the opportunity to do with Braun, and I think it will help him just round out even who he is as a babyface, who he is as a heel, who he is as a WWE superstar. And I think he's really finding his groove here. And he's getting, I think everybody sees that growth on a weekly basis from him. And so even though I know his time here is probably going to be short-lived, we're very excited about what he's brought to the table on this new side. So we're very, very happy with it. And again, I guess I'm very happy that, again, I think even the fan base really sees it, and you can really, plausibly see that development each and every week. And that's always very satisfying for us, obviously, when you see that and you all start to enjoy it. So, we think we've really hit a home run there. And obviously we're going to try to get it for all it's worth. And this weekend, I'm telling you, he's going to have a blast at Battleground in Lowell this Sunday, because they are going to be red hot and boo him out of the building. I know he's going to just have a blast, enjoying that process.
We'll come next to Luis Soto at TVN Chile.
Hi, Shawn. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Greetings from Chile. I hope you still have good memories from your visit to our country back in 2008 with the Raw roster.
Yeah,
15
always.
years ago, time flies. Huh?
Yeah, one of us is getting old, my man. I think it's me.
Well, in our country, we have an important fan base. They are excited for Battleground, but also they are wondering if there is any possibility for NXT to expand to South America or look more talent in our country, for example, in Chile?
Sure. Well, look, I just know, again, certainly nothing, right now has been discussed in that respect, but everybody knows this is the WWE. That's what we're looking to do all the time, which is expand and grow. And so obviously that holds true for NXT as well. I certainly know that as a company, we want to grow, we want to expand, we want to continue, and again, to entertain people around the world. And certainly we here in NXT want the same thing. So that's the best answer that I can give from a generalization standpoint, is that when given the opportunity, certainly NXT is going to take every chance they can to grow their brand outside of the United States. And hopefully Chile will be a part of that in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Shawn.
We'll come next to Graham Mamina at Bleacher Report. Graham?
There we go. Hey, Shawn, how's it going?
There you are. Doing well.
There we go. Going off a previous question, any update you can provide on the NXT Women's Tag Team titles with Isla Dawn, Alba Fire going to SmackDown, if that's out of your hands at this point with the belts now being on the main roster, and if we'll see them back in NXT at some point in the near future?
Well, we certainly hope to. I will say, I believe at this point, they've had an appearance on SmackDown, obviously representing, NXT as the Women's Tag Team champions. But I would imagine right now their focus is defending those titles there. But I will say that I think it's only a matter of time before they're going to have to come back here and defend those championships. But right now, I know that they're, again, with the call-ups just happening, their focus is going to be up there and seeing where being the NXT Tag Team Champions can take them in respect to the women's tag team competition on Raw and SmackDown.
Awesome. Thanks.
You bet.
We'll try Emily May at Sportskeeda again. Emily, please go ahead.
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Shawn, thank you so much for your time. We all appreciate it. So we are heading into a very exciting weekend, and I would love to hear from you about the NXT Women's Tournament match final and talk a little bit about these two ladies' journey and what can we expect about this match and what has their training and their process been going through the NXT system.
Well, look, I think they both obviously they both come from very different backgrounds. Lyra coming from the UK, where and a bit more of the independent scene, even though she was very young in that before she came to NXT UK. But she had what I believe was very prominent success there. I think she was very close to winning the NXT UK Women's Championship there before an injury. But since her transition over here to the States, I think it's been fantastic. I'm a fan of hers. She's an incredibly hard worker. She's very mature for a young lady of her age. And I think she's, again, I think we have the two women that are best equipped to be, the NXT Women's Champion. I think the two best that we have are in the finals, which is, Lyra Valkyria and Tiffany Stratton. I think everybody knows and sees Tiffany's rise and her success and her clearly getting better on television with each and every match that she has. Look, I will go back and once again, I sort of feel the need to tout the system here. But as tout the system, I also have to give a lot of credit to Sarah Amato. She is, I mean, the women's division, not just here in NXT, but even on the main roster now, is at a level that I just think is off the charts. And when everything's said and done, it comes down to the work of Sarah Amato, because she's been the one that's been the pioneer of that here in NXT for the longest time. And I know there are a lot of times because, Sarah's a mama now, and we obviously work around her schedule, but she's so good at staying in the background and staying, she doesn't like to get noticed that much, and she'll probably get mad at me for talking about her here, but she is the single greatest secret I think that NXT has, because she just does absolute wonders with the women that come through the doors of NXT. So, having said, I just need to get that out there on Sarah. She just does an amazing job here. But again, Tiffany and Lyra, to me, as I said before, I think they're the two people that, again, best represent the best here in NXT. And that's not to take anything away from the other women here. I think Kiana and Fallon Henley are not far behind. I know they're going to be wanting to contend for that title in the future, but I'm very excited about, crowning a new NXT Women's Champion at Battleground in Lowell this weekend, because I think the two best women are in this matchup. And I think the women's division continues to look incredibly strong here in the future of NXT. And whoever walks out with that championship at Battleground, I think he's going to have a lot of unbelievably talented women coming after them. And that's something we're excited about, because, again, we have people coming through the doors here that are getting this job unbelievably quickly. And Tiffany Stratton, I think, is probably, one of the ones that is kind of the keynote speaker, if you will, of that. She's just been unbelievably off the charts. Her rise here at NXT, it's been less than 2 years, and you see how talented she is. And obviously, this weekend she's going to have an opportunity to top it off with an NXT championship. But she's going to have to get through Lyra to do that. So we're excited about seeing how that match transpires this weekend.
We'll come next to Ash Rose for a question. Ash.
Cheers, Joe. Hi, Shawn. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Good. I wanted to ask you about the Heritage Cup, actually, because it's going to be the first time we see it on an NXT show rather than NXT UK. What are your feelings behind it, and how excited are you to see Noam Dar defend it and the whole concept behind the Heritage Cup?
Very proud of it. That is something that we sort of established in NXT UK. I really enjoyed it. And it was something I really wanted to be able to have the opportunity to bring to NXT. And look, and I know that it's different, but I love the fact. That's why I love being here so much. I love the fact that we get to take chances every now and then, and that's what this is. This is going to be, I think, the first time that an American audience has seen a rounds match, and in our version of again the old traditional UK rounds matches were just fantastic. But it's the pure wrestling fans match. Again, if that's there are a lot of people that claim to be purists. We'll find out how pure they are when they see this Heritage Cup match at Battleground this weekend. But I'm very excited about it. Thrilled for Noam being here. Him and Dragon Lee. It's just going to be, again, we've got the Iliad, we got the Last Man Standing match, we've got this Heritage Cup match, the North American Championship. This is a stacked card. And I think there's going to be so much variety on this show. And obviously, I know that sounds like huge. I don't know. I sound like a used car salesman, but I really am. Look, I know that we don't get the play that everybody else gets, but I'm telling you, I would put our NXT show up against anybody's any day of the week. With the variety and the talent that we have on this show, it's going to be off the charts. Noam and Dragon League going to tear the house down this weekend. And at the same time, wrestling fans are going to get to see a new concept that they haven't seen. Again, unless you're somebody that was, again, watching way back in the day, and a lot of that was in black and white.
Cheers, Shawn.
Thank you.
We'll come to Marco Ercole at Corriere dello Sport.
There are so many important moments in your career related to Boston and to Massachusetts. Now you are back there in a different role. What are the main emotional differences?
Well, look, obviously, I'm in a role now as the person, producing the show. I'm not there as a performer. And believe it or not, I guess certainly when I went there before, performing was always fun for me, and it was never work. This role takes a bit more focus, a bit more maturity than I used to have from a performing standpoint. We still have a lot of fun doing this, but there's a lot of preparation, a lot of different aspects that go into, not just, again, this is a group here in NXT. We don't travel all that often. So we're going to be bringing, 30 of us through the airport, 30 of us on a plane, getting everybody situated at the hotels, getting everybody to the building. Again, running up against the clock from a rehearsal standpoint, all of those things, because, what's going on in Saudi, there's going to be a much smaller crew. So it's a very exciting weekend. It's always very stressful. But again, and I use the word stressful. The thing is, I love my job. And so none of this seems like work. Again, it's like the same curveballs that I talked about earlier. I don't know. You can look at, doing this as a burden, or you can look at this as excitement. I look at it as excitement. I'm a 57-year-old teenager, again, that's still doing the job he loves to do, doing it with a bunch of young men and women that are excited to be there, excited to be in Lowell, Massachusetts, to put on a fantastic performance, to help, live out their dream. So again, very different role for sure, but still just as excited and giddy as I always was. And there are a lot of memories there in Lowell, from losing my smile to pulling, being half naked at the DX Christmas celebration, getting booed out of the building for dropping the coveted European Championship to my arch nemesis Hunter at the time. So again, a lot of good times in Lowell. Looking forward to going back, having a good time. And like I said, and I have no doubt, because I know everybody loves the idea, I will definitely be coming out smiling. So that's a good thing, right? I've lost my smile there, and I'll find it again.
Thank you very much. Good luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
We've got time for a couple of final questions. So we'll go first to Jason Powell. Jason, please go ahead.
Not hearing
I'll,
Jason's
I'll,
voice.
I'll stick with 2 remaining ones. Jason didn't use it up. We'll come.
Can you hear me, guys?
No, there is.
Saved by the
Hey,
Bell. Go ahead.
sorry about that. So I'm just curious, Shawn, how much notice did you get about the wrestlers who were drafted Raw and SmackDown? And was it any different this time around compared to past times where they've either called people up via the draft or just called people up in general?
Look, certainly, like for me, this is my first, experience with the draft. But no, look, I was very comfortable with it. It was smooth. I always have what I feel like is a pretty decent idea of what it is they're looking for. You can watch Raw, you can watch SmackDown. I knew that we were going to have some tag teams that we were certainly going to lose. I know Pretty Deadly and Alvin Isla, they're just too talented not to want. Certainly, JD McDonough, Grayson Waller. Indy, there's people that you can just sort of see that where they can fit, places that you can sort of see where they're going. So again, I will say very comfortable. Look, it's like everything, you sort of have to, there every now and then there's some surprises that come out you have to adjust to. But again, I enjoy that process. Again, I feel like that many call-ups, and we had nearly 15 people that we lost in the draft. That's a lot of people that, exponentially changes, your show a great deal. Again, but I like that kind of excitement in this job. You have to, sort of adjust on your feet. No different than what we, sometimes used to have to do in the ring. And that's something that I always enjoyed, seeing if you could do it or not and do it successfully. So again, I would say for my experience, first time doing it, I was very comfortable with it.
Thanks, Jason. We'll go finally to Francesco Palmerini. Francesco.
With you, we talked about your role in NXT, but what is actually the most complicated aspect of your current job?
I guess I will go back to when we're maybe trying to have synergy with when we, with main roster shows, again, it doesn't happen a lot, but those times when we are trying to maybe do some crossover type storylines, because I always want to make sure that I'm, cognizant and respectful. It's hard not to be selfish and want to do a lot with what you're doing. So it's just understanding sort of where your role is and where you can easily fit something in that's more pro NXT than pro SmackDown or Raw. So it's just being conscious of that. I would say, would I guess be the most challenging thing. Trying to get the most bang for your buck from a Raw or a SmackDown when there is the possibility of an NXT crossover. I would say that, I think the most challenging for us. But again, I look at that. I don't know. Again, I very much like those aspects of this job. And so I don't know, I guess when it comes down to everything, traveling, anytime we have to travel, which is not a lot, traveling is always hard for me going through the airport, stuff like that. There's the stuff that's, I think people complain about. I'm very fortunate. They're the things that I enjoy, the last minute changes and things like that. I like to see if we can do it. So, there aren't, I honestly got to say, there aren't too many aspects of this job that, that I don't enjoy. I guess I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. There's, I guess, like I said, just, sometimes if you hit a block, like a writer's block area now, if you hit maybe a creative block, that can be a bit frustrating. And, you feel like you're sort of giving something out there just to put a bow on it, but you don't really like it. But you can't think of anything better. I guess that's probably the most difficult thing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Sorry to make this such a difficult answer, but that was a tough one.
Thank you all so much for your questions. Great questions today. We look forward to speaking to you all again in the near future, but I will end this call by passing things over for a final word from Shawn.
Well, again, I just want to thank y'all. Look, again, for NXT, this is always big for us. Again, the times, as I've mentioned before, the times we get out on premium live events is a big deal for the men and women here. It's a big deal for us for NXT. I always appreciate you guys, again, helping us out with this, spreading the word, you know, to get the show out there, to help promote it. And honestly, it's something that we can't do this. And it really sounds like pandering, but we can't do it without you guys. I appreciate all of you helping out. I know that, you know, there's nothing that really big scoop worthy comes out of oftentimes interviews with me, because I'm just a dude that a lot of kind of digs doing his job, and I'm pretty boring. But I still appreciate y'all always helping us out in that respect. And look, I hope you all get tired of doing these, and, you know, get tired to helping us in that respect. This is you know, NXT is something I really believe in. I know it sounds hokey, but you look at the main roster, SmackDown and Raw, there's, you know, it is damn near all NXT, you know, superstars up there now. This system works. I love being a part of that. I love watching these, you know, again, the people that come in the door and they're learning here in a short amount of time, and watching them move up, and or bringing people over from the UK and watching them move up. Been a part of, you know, these people's lives now for, I don't know, some of them, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. And I'm so happy for their success, and you guys are a part of that and help drive that. So just want to say thank you for that. I hope you guys will tune in to Peacock this weekend and catch Battleground for us. So thank you all very much. I hope you have a good weekend.
Thanks, everyone. That concludes the call. Enjoy NXT Battleground this Sunday. But for now, you may disconnect.